And welcome to A Better Morning. I'm Heather Klein. We debate the trending topics in sports from a sports betting point of view. Let's welcome today's panel. Host of Her Story in the Making and co-host of Lightning Round, Britt Flynn. Head of content of Fantasy Alarm and award-winning host on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio, Howard Bender. Fantasy Alarm lead NFL analyst and professional MLB All-Star Game handicapper, Andrew Cooper. The king of the world, Mr. Fantasy Exec himself, Corey Parson. Welcome, everybody. How's everyone doing today?
Corey's the king of the world until he can't predict the winner of the All-Star game.
Uh-oh.
There you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. A lot of award talk floating around, dude. I don't think I've gotten one thing wrong on this show since it started, to be honest.
Good job.
Let's check the meme.
I've never been wrong one day in my life.
I've never been wrong. I thought I was once, but I was mistaken.
I was mistaken. Oh my goodness, Miss! It was a mistake that you were actually right.
That's right. Glad Guerrero, NL. I mean, this game's easy. So let's get to more of that.
All right.
This group.
Let's get to it, guys.
Please.
I love it. We're starting off hot like fish grease. Saints running back Alvin Kamara reached a plea deal for a Las Vegas nightclub fight that occurred on February 5th, 2022. He pleaded no contest to a misdemeanor charge of breach of peace and will undergo 30 hours of community service, pay a $500 fine, and there's much bigger fines in the NFL. What's $500? And over $100,000 in restitution for the victim's medical expenses. Although the case is closed in the Vegas courts, the situation remains under investigation by Roger Goodell and the NFL. Are you concerned that Kamara will be suspended, and what fantasy football implications do you consider? Corey, you're up.
So I'm not really concerned about the fantasy football implications because I think they're minor, if anything. You know, you like Kamara, there's going to be a spot where he's going to be a value. You don't like him, you leave him on the board. I think the more egregious problem is, just listen to the phrase you said. The Las Vegas courts are done with it, but now it goes to Roger Goodell. Well, who the hell is Roger Goodell? The commissioner of the NFL? This is an incident that got him a $500 fine and basically $100K in a civil case and restitution for injuries for an event that we don't even know what happened. I think this whole thing of we got to suspend people because they've done something that the courts don't even find legal is egregious. Let's look at a couple of weeks ago when John Morant got a 25-game suspension. There was people like, oh, no, that wasn't enough. Why do we have this suspension porn culture? He should not get no time. $500 to the courts in Las Vegas, that's good enough.
There are so many things that I need to dissect about that statement, but I only have 45 seconds. So I'm just going to tell you, as a lawyer in a former life, there are different burdens of proof and evidence. And Corey, have you seen that video? That video is horrendous. The NFL has a different burden of proof for implementing suspensions. It's not, you don't even have to be charged. You don't even have to be convicted. None of that, because the burden of proof that the NFL has to prove is a preponderance of the evidence. That's 51% saying that you violated a contract that you signed saying that you were not going to act up. What Alvin Kamara did is way more than acting up. I don't care that it was only $500. I don't care about any of that. What he did was wrong. We've seen it with Zeke. He wasn't charged. He didn't even agree to a plea deal, and he got 6 games. Beating the hell out of somebody on video definitely warrants a suspension.
Well, Britt, I also happen to be a bit of an internet fantasy football lawyer myself.
Are you Britt?
I've also noted bird law enthusiast as well. I've also taken a quick peek at what happens in this league, and I kind of agree with both of you that one, he has to be suspended from Britt's point, and two, that Roger Goodell does it arbitrarily and based on whatever he feels like at the time. So when you look at these suspensions, sometimes when nothing's going on, they do 1-2 games, sweep it under the rug. This year, you got a bunch of guys getting suspended for betting on baseball during a lunch break, and those guys got 6 games. So Roger Goodell, knowing that he has to keep the peace among the fans, knows he has to give Kamara something here. And no matter what it is, people are going to turn around and say, oh, well, he got the same suspension for beating the guy up. These guys got bet on baseball. So he's got to get something here. He really does.
The NFL has a code of conduct policy, and it's very, very firm about things like domestic violence and battery and things like that. I mean, let's not overlook the fact that this is a plea deal, all right? And the video does say it all. And the NFL is a private entity that has their own code of conduct policy. So yeah, they can do whatever they want, and it doesn't matter what the legal ramifications are. I can't sit there and say that, a plea deal is going to erase what happened. The video does speak for itself. It really does. And it was a garbage move here by Kamara and his people. They got out of the legal aspect there, but there will be a suspension. The league policy says 6 games. It'll probably end up getting whittled down to 3 or 4.
My real question here is $100,000 and $500 over the table. How much under the table is this guy getting for everybody to just say, oh, never mind?
That's the real fine right there. Britt, how much of the video did you see? Do you know what took place before the video?
Are you joking, Corey?
Do you know what took place before?
I'm not even justifying that with a response.
Well, I don't care. Response, then you don't care, but people in the NFL do. People for the New Orleans Saints do. You got to understand this. He got into an altercation. We've seen a piece of the tape, and now you want to be judge, jury, and executioner because you were a former lawyer. Listen, the bottom line of the matter is this. These sports, the ratings are tanking in these sports. Why are we putting our best stars off the field for stuff that the courts don't even find a big deal with? It doesn't make any sense. Like
no,
I said,
that's you're a star. So you're a star and you get exempt from any.
It's suspension point. How much suspension? How much time?
One at a time.
We can't wait. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Heather, please save us. One at a time. One at a time.
When I said that I don't care, it doesn't mean that I don't care about the totality of the video. I don't care about what took place before because nothing justifies beating the hell out of a person. Nothing justifies that. When it is on video, when you are an athlete and you're held to a higher standard, not only because you're in the public light, but because you signed a contract, that is something that you need to live up to. And I don't care if you're an athlete and you think, oh, I'm just going to pay a fine and get off easy. It sets a bad precedent. It looks horrible. Any normal person who did that would be going to jail.
And the civil case
for
$500. The civil case hasn't even been settled yet, so that's still going on. That's still pending. The $100,000 was restitution strictly for medical expenses. There, the $500 fine. That's just that's a joke. That's an absolute joke, and that actually makes it more of a mockery out of the court system than it does anything else. So. Listen, I think that the basis here is whether or not we think he's going to get suspended. We already know that the NFL does whatever the NFL wants. And that's it. Again, they have a code of conduct policy that when you sign your contract, that is a part of it. So Alvin Kamara is definitely in the wrong here. And you know what? Yes. Does he need to be suspended? He does. Do you need to set an example like this? You do. And Corey, come on. What example? Plea deals are plea deals. That doesn't exonerate you from anything. It exonerates him from doing jail time. It does.
To Howard's point, Marcus Mariota once had a clause in his contract that said he couldn't go surfing. These contracts absolutely explicitly say that you can't do this stuff or you will be suspended. And the NFLPA is going to be part of that suspension decision and they'll agree to whatever it is. So it's not like this is just going to be metered out. It will, to some degree, be agreed upon by all parties.
Look at the comment. Have to suspend them 6+ games. Suspension porn. For something that we don't even know what took place. 6+ games. And as far as Ezekiel Elliott go, the NFL's own investigator was like, there's no suspension here. And Roger Goodell went through with it.
And I told you why. I told you why, Corey. I told you why the 6+ games would be there. It's because the gambling guys got 6 games. It's because they got 6 games. So that's the public sentiment.
It's the code of conduct policy. It's in your contract. It's before the gambling.
Don't have a problem with it.
It's before.
Who gives a shit about the courts? The NFL is a private business. If you get arrested for it, can I finish, please, Corey? If you get arrested for a DWI at your normal job and you get exonerated, you can still get fired from your job because your job doesn't want you there. These are two separate, entirely different situations. Your job and the courts.
Well, if the
They're
NFL
separate.
wants to get into law enforcement, they need to do that.
That's why they have contracts. Again.
All right, guys, let's move on to the next topic.
There's other topics?
There are. Apparently there are.
Apparently.
Well, what are they, Heather?
Last season, we saw the Jacksonville Jaguars finish with not only a 9-8 record, but moved past the Chargers in the wild card game to reach the divisional contest. Although they lost to the impending Super Bowl champs, the Chiefs, I'd say the Jags accomplished a great feat. This season, there's a new crop on the comeback trail, and we're eyeing the Bears as the favorite at plus 210. Following Chicago are the Broncos at plus 425, and the Texans at plus 700, followed by the Colts at plus 800, and lastly, the Saints at plus 850 as the top 5 contenders. Do you like the Bears, or is there another team you're eyeing to have the biggest increase in regular season wins versus their 2022 performance? Britt, let's go.
So most improved feels like a participation trophy, but I digress on this. I'm not sure why everyone is in on the Bears. Sure, they improved. They brought in DJ Moore. They upped their offensive line a little bit, but they still have major questions around their passing game, and they have a long way to go with their defense. I'm not sold on them. The NFC North should help them a little bit because that division's kind of weak, but I'm more in on the Broncos. I was in on them last year before the atrocity that was Nathaniel Hackett. But with Sean Payton, I think that they get it done this season. They did a lot to improve their defense as well. So Russell Wilson shouldn't be playing from many come-from-behind situations. And his receiving core is, for the most part, healthy this year, which they weren't last season. They have a decent backup running back situation instead of the oldest, dustiest running backs who still have legs attached. So I think that they take the cake.
Britt, I'm fully with you on the Broncos bouncing back, but this particular bet is a bit of a trap. I've been rug pulled by this one before, and the problem that you run into is that the Broncos likely are going to feel like the most improved team, but you have to factor in just how bad the Bears and Texans were last year. Those teams were 3-win teams, and that's what this bet is based on, who improves the most in terms of their last year record. So if you had 5 or 6 wins to the Bears, they're still like an 8-9, 9-8 team. They might not be even that great. If you had 5 or 6 wins to what the Denver Broncos did last year, now they're winning double-digit games minimum. Like 6 games is an 11-win season for this team. I'd rather just bet Sean Payton Coach of the Year as a standalone bet, and then bet on one of these really bad teams to just so happen to be mediocre this year.
Yeah, I mean, you just need to take a look at the win totals lines over at any local sports book there, and you see the increase so far. The Bears do have the biggest projected increase. They were a 3-win team last year. Their projected win total right now is at 7.5. That is the highest. Denver does have the second highest, but I'll go with the Bears as being the team that improves the most record wise. Their division got a little soft. The NFC South is a little soft. They're going to be playing teams over in the NFC North, which could be a little tougher on the out of conference. But, when you look at some of the improvements other teams have, or that the Bears have made in comparison, I think we will see them as probably the biggest increase from where they were last year, just slightly more than Houston.
Yeah, if you were in on the Denver Broncos going into last season, you probably need to have your eyes examined, because that one was easy to see that was going to be a failure right there. But anyway, let's get on to this season right here, and let's talk about the team that's going to make the biggest improvement. And, Coop makes a good point. It may seem like it's the Broncos, but I think it's going to be, first of all, the Bears, their quarterback situation and their head coach and all of that in the defense is a lot for me. But as far as this season, it's going to be the Houston Texans. They got a competent leader in there in DeMeco Ryans. I feel as if you get a good job getting there with C.J. Stroud as the quarterback. I don't think the roster was devoid of talent coming into it. I think they was, tanking and trying to turn the roster around. Around, and I think that they got their guy who they identified, the same guy the Denver Broncos actually wanted. I think he's going to come in there and be a fantastic head coach and you'll see a big improvement in year one.
I will say for the Houston Texans, we talked about this yesterday on the Alarm Fantasy Football Show. Their offensive line, on paper at least, is not nearly as bad as a lot of people think. Laramie Tunsil, Kenyon Green, they just drafted a guy with an incredible name, Juice Scruggs. So it's not crazy. I just think that the Bears are a little farther ahead in their rebuild. They're like year 3 of their new quarterback versus year 1 of their rookie quarterback. That's kind of the difference maker for me. But I do agree. The easiest path is one of these really bad teams becoming just okay versus saying, okay, one of these teams that were kind of bad last year is going to be a playoff team, because that's a much bigger jump for me.
Well, and I guess the Texans kind of screwed the pooch by getting that tie, right? And going to second, because now they have that little amount to improve where the Bears, I guess, do. And now that you guys said this, Justin Fields did have the 3rd most time in the pocket of any quarterback in the entire league last season. So we could see some stuff out of him.
Mods,
you gotta stop turning the ball over in critical moments in a late game situation.
Say, Mods, please remove getting the game from the chat. I want that Broncos business stricken from my record. Thank you.
Listen, you know what? I lost a ton of best ball teams with a little Broncos stack early on. So
you didn't think that looked like it was going to work? The Broncos with Nathaniel Hackett and a celebrity quarterback.
It worked in every other team.
Why wouldn't it?
It worked for the Rams. It worked for the Bucks.
It did, right?
Because you don't. One of the Bill Parcells' rules is you don't trust a celebrity quarterback, and when you have a celebrity quarterback, you get what happens last year. You know what? Sean Payton is there to stay. Russell Wilson ain't.
Yeah, Russell Wilson's no Dak, I'll tell you that.
There we go.
I don't want to have to prove to you again.
Time machine.
I'll leave it alone.
Cash your tickets if you tuned in yesterday and you bet on today just being Snipe City with the comments.
Time machine to yesterday, dude.
I'm ready for the next topic already.
Yeah.
I'm out of it.
It's too early for this.
Howard, you ask and you shall receive.
Thank you, Howard.
We've all seen the news on the incident between Britney Spears and Victor Wembanyama, or rather his security. Spears' team filed a police report for battery, but after a full investigation, no charges will be given. Do you think Britney should have known better, being a superstar in her own right, or was the security guard a little overzealous? It's Britney versus Wemby's security team. Fight.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to have to channel a bit of my inner Howard Bender on this one when I say, who the hell cares? Honestly, if these were normal people, right, in this situation, or even just one of them wasn't famous, then it would be the biggest nothing of all time. I mean, I watched the video. Clearly, the guy turned and overreacted. But if you're a normal person going up behind somebody with a security team and kind of poking him in the back, don't be surprised if the security team does their job in terms of security. So in this particular instance, any normal person would be like, oh my God, I'm sorry. But because it's Britney Spears, now it has to be this big thing where people are posting videos of Wemby getting dunked on with Hit Me Baby One More Time in the background, which honestly is hilarious. But again, I could care less about what Wemby does when he's not on the court and what Britney Spears is doing at all.
Yeah, it's a kind of an annoying situation that we're actually focused in on this as well. I agree with you on that one, Coop. But I mean, this is strictly an overreaction on both parties' parts. The security detail obviously did not know who Britney was, and they overreacted because they were doing their job. They're told to keep, Wemby clear of autograph hounds and people running up. And Britney, on the other hand, she kind of overreacted to basically getting snubbed. She had her hurt feelings, so that's why the suit was filed. They're doing their job. She's kind of getting overreacting here. It's dumb. I was actually in a very similar situation here, which unfortunately I'm running short on my time, so I can't even share it.
Oh, that was cute. So check it out. Clout chasing's at an all-time high. We know this, you know what I'm saying? And basically what Britney Spears did was like, oh, I can chase clout on this situation right here. So you run up on Wembanyama, you know what I'm saying? The security inadvertently hits you, or the league office came back and said that you kind of hit yourself. You know what I'm saying? So really much to do about nothing here. Britney saw that this was an opportunity for her to get back into the media spotlight. You know, it seems like it was just a year ago when people were fighting to have Britney Spears free. Well, this is what free Britney Spears looks like. You know what I'm saying? So I would go as really much to do about nothing. Britney Spears clout chasing. I see she released a couple videos after that. You know what I'm saying? So unless we really going back 15, 16 years in time, there's nothing to see here.
The fact that you just accused Britney Spears of clout chasing when she is one of the biggest pop stars in the world, has the highest grossing Las Vegas residency. Corey, let me finish what I'm saying. Still had one of the most highest grossing residencies in Vegas ever just 2 years ago is absurd to me. But anyway, I think what's lost here is the art of communication, likely on both sides, but so much more on Wemby's security team. If you're worried about people coming up and asking for autographs, you should have taken care of that situation well before she was able to tap him on the shoulder. When she got there, it seemed like they were very upset that they didn't catch the situation in time. And that's why they overreacted. Just to backhand her like that is really unacceptable. You
Relax. Now it's my turn to talk. I got a 13-year-old daughter. She has no idea who the hell Britney Spears is. You know what I'm saying? Britney Spears was a thing. Let's not act like Britney Spears is a thing now.
She is a thing.
Vegas residencies for people in their 50s. You know what I'm saying? As far as what moves the needle for young people right now, Britney Spears ain't getting nothing done. So I don't want to hear about Britney Spears and all of this. And first of all, she got up too close. It was an inadvertent hit. Go on about your business.
If we did a poll of who do more people know, or who's more famous, Britney Spears or Wemby, I gotta admit, at this particular moment, it's still got to be Britney Spears.
Oh, it'll be Britney Spears in a heartbeat, dude.
There's
There's no contest on that.
Listen,
Listen, all right, here you go.
Close.
Quick story. I was part of the opening team for the All-Star Cafe in New York City. All right, my job on opening night was to hang out next to Wayne Gretzky all night long. All right, and to just basically, kids could come in for autographs, adults could not. When Gretzky was seated, I was standing right next to him. And who pushed me from behind and slid into the booth to try and get next to Wayne Gretzky and Janet Jones was Monica Seles. Now, this happened, I'll tell you what, this happened probably, I don't know, maybe a year or a year and a half after she got stabbed at the French Open. She pushed me in the back to get in and slide in there. I grabbed her arm, right, to get her to stop because that was my job to do. And what happened? Her security then grabbed me and yanked me out of there because they were a lot bigger than me. And that was it. But I wasn't overreacting. I grabbed her by the arm to pull her away because that was what my job was. That was Wemby's security detail. Did they overreact a little bit because they obviously had no idea who she was? Like I had no idea it was Monica Seles? Yes. But yes, should Britney know a little bit better because of who she is, because of her celebrity status? She should. So again, like Britt said, it was a miscommunication on all parts here, and these kind of things happen. Does it need to be a lawsuit? No. Is it clout chasing? I don't know. I mean, maybe she planned on doing it. Maybe her PR people planned on doing it. Either way, this is the dumbest story in the world.
Who's Monica Seles?
Oh, shit.
Tennis player.
Back when Britney Spears was popular.
Yes.
Am I waking up for this? Is it 5:30 in the morning for me right
Is
now?
the mic on? Is the mic
I'm just trying to set a hierarchy on who's famous and who's not.
Topic,
Oh, we got Wayne Gretzky in here. I put Wayne Gretzky at the very top.
Dear
Monica
Lord,
Seles is at the bottom.
Out of here now.
I'm just trying to set a hierarchy. That's all.
Art has had enough, guys.
We got one more.
One more. We've hit the halfway point of the MLB season. What surprised you the most in the first half of the season? It was kind of redundant. My apologies. Howard, you're first.
What? Me? I get to talk first here? All right, great. I'll take the low-hanging fruit of the Cincinnati Reds. They were a 100-loss team last year that nobody expected them to even remotely do what they're doing right now. They're sitting atop the National League Central. They're 50-41. And I mean, listen, it's a fantastic story. Their run differential sucks at -9, and that's probably going to be an issue moving forward unless they get themselves some pitching. But I mean, again, you can't take 100-loss team, basically think that the whole team's going to tank the entire year, that they're going to just go with their youth movement and test these guys out. And look at what they've done right now. Since they brought up Ellie De La Cruz, they're like 22-6. I think that says it all.
Yeah, I guess you do got to go with the biggest surprise. Well, to me, the biggest surprise is they actually played a half a season already and had the All-Star game and all of that. But now, looking, realistically, I would say that the biggest surprise would have been the fact that we have spent, a couple of mornings talking about the Cincinnati Reds. I did not have that on my bingo card. You know what I'm saying? That we'd be talking about the team that playing in Great American Small Park. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I see the rest of my time to Britt. You know what I'm saying?
I think you owe her. I think you owe that time. I think you owe that time to her. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a first. So I'm going to be honest. I don't know if I can say that anyone surprised me because I didn't really have any expectations going into the season. I followed the Dodgers and that was about it. But I will say that the Reds have been extremely exciting to watch, and they've made me want to tune in to more baseball games than just the Dodgers. Their win total was only 83.5 for the entire season, and they already have 50 at the break. Ellie De La Cruz is completely electric. This whole team is young and has a ton of potential, and I'm ready to see them make a run in the postseason. What surprises me, I guess, the most is the Mets and their downfall. It shouldn't really, but having the biggest payroll in baseball and you're pooping the bed in epic fashion is just really bad.
I mean, I tell you, the Mets doing this, Corey, probably the least surprising thing.
No, I have no. I knew
that's what the Mets do. And I should be getting my big box right now, but I guess I'll just stand on my soapbox real quick in the 4-man squares here, and I will say this. No, even better. There we go. The biggest surprise for me is that the Red Sox and Yankees are the bottom two teams in the AL East at the All-Star break for the first time ever. Since they've been around over 100 years, for the first time ever, those two teams are at the bottom. And this isn't like the other sports. This isn't like football where there's a salary cap and the schedule is set so that the 4 best teams from each conference play the 4 best teams and the 4 worst teams play the worst teams. No. This is not supposed to be fair. These teams are supposed to have a crazy head start. The Orioles have the second lowest payroll in all of baseball. The Rays are also bottom 5. These two teams, maybe one of them could be at the bottom, but both these teams are not supposed to be at the bottom, and it's the first time it's ever happened. So that is surprising to me.
That is very surprising. That's a good pull right there, Coop. Hey, Britt, how many games you think Wembanyama should be suspended? 25?
Oh, my God. Dude, we're not talking about that. It's time to cut the show.
Keep in mind, both the Yankees and the Red Sox would each be in first place in the American League Central, and both teams would be in third place if they were in the American League West. There's not a team in the AL East that has a negative run differential as well. So tough division. Yeah, somebody's got to finish in last.
Just like the AFC East in football, the AL East runs the world, baby. It's the AL East versus everybody. Let's go.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. That was today's show. Make sure you check out Quick Out Fantasy Football with our very own Howard Bender and Coop at 1 p.m. Eastern. If you missed any of our shows, please check them out on YouTube and our website. Take care.